This is Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review with your NHL early lines report for the games taking place on Thursday, December the 8th. We'll run down many of the marquee games on the Thursday hockey schedule. Let's start with the St. Louis Blues, New York Islanders, East versus West matchup. St. Louis Blues got back in the win column with a 3-2 overtime win against Montreal in their last game. After they had lost to Winnipeg in overtime at home in their previous game. Great comeback win from the Blues, great resilience. Montreal, gave it a good effort considering, they had Montoya, not Carey Price in net, and they got out to a big lead. First game with some injuries. Alex Galchenyuk, of course, their leading scorer out for a while, and they lost David Desharnais to injury in that game as well, but still gave the Blues everything they could handle, but good win for St. Louis to get back on track after losing to Winnipeg at home. I think the price is cheap here. The New York Islanders are coming off a win against the New York Rangers in their last game, but you look at the New York Islanders in terms of their season so far, and inconsistency and erratic play has really been at the forefront of what we've seen from this Islanders team. They had won 3 straight games in a row, lost to Detroit in overtime, got back on the schneid with a win against the Rangers. Can they sustain it? That remains to be seen, but Blues the better of these teams. Blues a team that has struggled on the road a little bit. That would be the one concern, but probably would still have to lean to St. Louis here at the minus 125 road price tag. Edmonton, Philadelphia should be an interesting game. Tough loss for the Oilers in their last game, a game that they led late against the Buffalo Sabres, could not hang on to the victory, and they end up losing 4-3 in overtime to a Buffalo team that was playing the second of night of back-to-back games. So very disheartening loss for the Oilers. I think they've got a good chance here to bounce back, get back in the win column, but don't look now. The Philadelphia Flyers have heated up. They've won 6 straight games, playing obviously their best hockey right now of the season, their longest winning streak of the season. And Steve Mason has finally gotten things going in terms of his play in between the pipes for the Flyers. We know when Steve Mason's in a zone, in a groove, he can be a very streaky goaltender, and right now he is in a very good zone for this Flyers team. So I like the spot for the Oilers to bounce back. I like the price. You get an underdog price with the Oilers, but when you got teams like this, Philadelphia underachieved early in the season, went through struggles, and now you see them start to put things together, playing good hockey, and that's despite being without some key cogs in their lineup. Matt Reed and Sean Couturier, 2 of their better forwards, out due to injury, yet the Flyers have still been able to keep winning games. When a team's on this kind of winning streak, I don't like to stand in front of that streak. And that's not something I'm going to do here in this game. So in this game, I'll probably end up leaving it alone. Maybe the under is worth a bet here in this game because I think the Oilers are going to want to play a little bit better defensively after blowing that lead against Buffalo, and the Flyers are getting good goaltending right now, so could be a recipe for maybe a lower scoring game in that one. Pittsburgh takes on Florida. The Penguins coming off 3 straight wins, playing good hockey right now, and the Florida Panthers coming off a grueling 6-game road trip. First game home, they lost the last 3 games of that road trip. This Florida team's just not playing well and not responding well to the coaching change. And I've mentioned that in previous NHL videos. I think this team, the players on this Florida team, really like Gerard Gallant. I think they like playing for him, and the way he was fired, and so unceremoniously fired and treated so, I think, poorly. I think the way the whole firing was handled was done poorly by the Panthers. It got to the point where they actually forced Gallant to basically get his own cab back to the airport on the night he was fired. It just goes to show you that I think it could have been handled a lot better by the Florida management team. I know there was a disconnect, some disagreements between the management, the way they wanted the roster constructed and the way Gerard Gallant wanted that roster constructed, but it doesn't mean you have to treat the guy like shit on his way out. I mean, the management forgets that he took this moribund Florida Panthers hockey team to the playoffs last year, and they had a great season. Now all of a sudden that's forgotten, and you treat him like absolute horse shit on the way out the door. Sorry. I wouldn't want to work for somebody that does that to me. And certainly if I'm a Florida Panther player right now and I like Gerard Gallant, and the reports are they liked Gerard Gallant as the head coach, I wouldn't be happy with the way he was fired either. And we might be seeing Florida sort of revolt here a little bit, not playing well. I don't know if I don't want to say that they're not tanking games, they're not purposely losing, but I think they are responding negatively, at least to some extent, to the firing of Gerard Gallant, and it's impacting their play on the ice. They're just not playing good right now, and Pittsburgh, is probably going to take advantage. They're playing good. I can only look at the Penguins here at minus 125, minus 130. They're probably worth a bet as long as the price doesn't climb much higher than minus 130. And the Pittsburgh Penguins are on a hell of an over streak right now. They've gone over the total now in about 7 or 8 games in a row to the over Pittsburgh. And I could see that continuing here. Florida's a team that's not going to stop many potent offenses from scoring. They just don't have the depth defensively to do so. So I'd lean to the Penguins and the over. Maybe a nice little side total combo, Pittsburgh and over. Definitely worth a look in that game between the Penguins and Panthers. We've got Rangers and Winnipeg. Very interesting game. The Rangers, all of a sudden, injuries started to mount for this New York Rangers hockey team, especially in their last game against the Islanders. I mean, Jimmy Vesey's got an upper body injury, questionable. Michael Grabner's dealing with a personal issue. Rick Nash is the big one, suffered a groin injury in that last game, expected to miss at least a week due to that groin injury. So now New York Rangers a little short-handed here as they go to Winnipeg. Winnipeg has not had Mark Scheifele in their last 3 games. Not sure if he'll be back. He's been dealing with the flu, but Winnipeg, very disheartening loss in their last game at home against Detroit. Had a 3-1 lead in that hockey game, could not hold it. Detroit comes back and wins in a shootout 4-3. Winnipeg, other than that, though, they've been pretty good at home this year, an 8-6 home record for the Winnipeg Jets. Better home record than they have on the road. New York Rangers have actually a winning road record, and that's a big reason why they've had such a strong season. They've been able to win games away from home, but I'm a little worried for them here. They're a little bit short-handed going into this game, so tricky spot maybe for them in this one. Next game, we've got Nashville taking on Detroit. Or Nashville taking on Dallas, sorry. Nashville taking on Dallas Predators versus the Stars. And to say that Lindy Ruff was not happy with his team after their 2-1 loss to Calgary at home the other night's an understatement. He said our best players were poor with the puck. They didn't manage the puck well. And just not happy at all with his team. He didn't mince words. So you would expect Dallas to come out here with a little pep in their step, trying to bounce back from that poor showing that they had against Calgary the other night. And when you look at the recent trends between these two teams, you would think Dallas and Nashville high scoring. 3 of the last 5 have gone over the total. Nashville, is a odd team because they had been so dominant at home. They lost 2 straight home games recently, bounced back to beat Colorado, but Colorado's just in a world of hurt right now, 4-3. So I don't know if you can go make too much of that win for Nashville. I'd probably lean to Dallas. I don't like betting Dallas, especially as a favorite. Although now it looks like Nashville has been made a road favorite in this game, and I will say this about Nashville: they're 3-9 on the road this year. Okay, Nashville's 3-9 on the road. That's not a team I'm laying a price with on the road. And Dallas, you would think, after the way Lindy Ruff was talking following that game against the Calgary Flames, where he was just not happy at all with his team, you would think you're going to get an inspired, motivated performance from the Stars. So Dallas plus 100 is probably the way I would look in that game. All right, we're going to wrap it up with Calgary, Arizona, and this is also going to be our play of the day for Thursday, December the 8th in the NHL. There is a big and bright buy sign as far as I'm concerned on the Calgary Flames right now. This is a team that was disappointing for the first month and a half of the season, struggled to score goals, didn't play great defensively, but the biggest catalyst of all was Brian Elliott just didn't get in any sort of rhythm coming over from the St. Louis Blues in the offseason. Just never got comfortable in net for this Calgary team, and Calgary's made the decision that is the right decision. They are riding the hot hand in between the pipes, and that hot hand right now is Chad Johnson. Chad Johnson signed as a backup in the offseason, and yet he has taken over clearly the number 1 job. I mean, his numbers have been absolutely sensational in his last several starts. He's 8-2 in his last 10 starts. He's had 3 shutouts during that span. He's got a less than 2 goals against average, a over .940 save percentage. He is the catalyst behind Calgary getting on fire now. They're 9-3-1 now in their last 13 games. They've won 4 straight against Toronto, Minnesota, Anaheim, and Dallas. Playing great hockey right now, Calgary. Johnny Gaudreau is back from injury, another weapon offensively. Sean Monahan's picked it up offensively. Sam Bennett's coming alive. The defense is playing a lot better. Mark Giordano, TJ Brody, those guys, Dougie Hamilton, all playing better on the back end for Calgary. This is a team it absolutely, I think, is a bet-on team right now. In fact, I had a bet on Calgary when they beat Dallas on Tuesday night. I think they're worth a look here. You look at Arizona, it's just been a tough time for them. They've lost 5 straight games, to pretty good teams. They've lost to Columbus twice, a good team, LA, San Jose, Chicago. So they played some pretty good teams, pretty tough competition. But fact remains, they're not winning games. They're not getting a ton of saves right now from their goaltenders. Mike Smith's been inconsistent up and down since he's returned in net for Arizona. And now you got them back home after a mini 2-game road trip. Arizona, when you look at home ice advantages that aren't very strong, Arizona's is one of those. They don't get great crowds to their home games. They rarely ever get half capacity. 5-6 is their home record. You got Calgary with a pretty decent 500 road record this season. They've played pretty good hockey on the road, especially of late. I think this price is cheap for the better team, the hotter team right now, and we're going to go ahead and make it official. Let's go. Calgary Flames minus 120. That's rotation number 17. The Calgary Flames minus 120 to beat the Arizona Coyotes. That's your play of the day for Thursday, December the 8th in NHL action. All right, that'll wrap up my look at the NHL early lines for the games taking place on Thursday, December the 8th. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, and until next time,
go to SBRodds.com. Browse, compare, and shop live odds available at top online sportsbooks.